Gusts as high as 70 miles an hour here in Ventura, California. That Thomas fire burned down hundreds of homes. It is still burning.
Every single man and woman that's out here on these lines are absolutely dedicated. Yes, it's brutal, dirty, nasty work, but it has to be done. We're going to be here until it's done.
A massively controversial decision by President Trump. He is expected to announce in a speech tomorrow the start of the process of recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and moving the U.S. Embassy there from Tel Aviv.
This is a promise that past presidents have made. President Bill Clinton made the promise, President George W. Bush.
I'm just astonished at how this whole thing has gone off the rails in the last few days. These revelations about Peter Strzok. Nobody's covering themselves in glory here. Everybody's taking a credibility hit.
The tax bill will be less of a mess. I think they're very close to working out a deal.
Russia suspended Tuesday from participating in the upcoming Olympic Winter Games.
Of news happening for you overnight. A live shot from the streets of New York City, where we are decorated for Christmas, which is on its way very quickly. Good morning. You're watching Fox and Friends First on this Wednesday morning. I'm Heather Childers. A lot to tell you about, so let's get to our top story right now. Happening today. President Trump expected to make good on another campaign promise, set to announce that the U.S. will officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Griff Jenkins is live for us in Washington, D.C. Griff, the decision already sparking a lot of backlash.
Good morning, Heather. That's right. It is definitely making waves in the Middle East, but let me set the stage. Many presidents before him, going back to Bill Clinton and George Bush, made campaign promises like this one.
We will move the American embassy to the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem.
But today at 1 p.m., President Trump will follow through on that promise, recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and directing the State Department to begin the process, which will take years, 3 to 4 years, of moving the U.S. Embassy there from Tel Aviv. And it is already causing backlash in Bethlehem. Flags with President Trump's image are burning as the U.S. consulate in Jerusalem issued a security warning on Twitter for U.S. citizens, directing them to avoid the Old City and the West Bank. The move clearly angering Palestinians who want Jerusalem as their capital as well. President Mahmoud Abbas warning in this statement, quote, such a move will have detrimental consequences on the peace process and the prospects for the internationally endorsed two-state solution. And allies in the region reacting with strong warnings that this may have serious consequences. Turkish President Erdogan saying the move is a red line.
Our struggle on this matter will continue with resolve. As a matter of fact, this can go as far as breaking off our diplomatic relations with Israel.
Now, anticipating the reaction for violent protests, U.S. Marine fast teams are already deploying all over the Middle East. This as questions over the impact of such a move, upending decades of U.S. diplomacy, will await Vice President Pence's arrival in Jerusalem in less than 2 weeks, Heather. It is a big move, and we'll hear more today.
Yeah, it really is. So 1 p.m. today, of course, that will be covered here on Fox News. Griff, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Now to another Fox News alert for you. California under siege again. Massive wind-fueled flames sparking apocalyptic destruction, forcing more than 150,000 people to leave everything behind. Jonathan Hunt is live for us in Ventura. That's where the evacuation zone widened overnight. You know, Jonathan, we heard Nancy Pelosi use the word apocalyptic to describe the tax plan. This is apocalyptic.
That's exactly what it is, Heather. And no end in sight to the suffering of so many displaced residents here. No end in sight to the battles that the firefighters are having to go through. And this is what a lot of residents are going to be returning to in the city of Ventura. You can see here we're in the driveway of one house, pickup truck, family sedan, completely destroyed. And then you come up here, the garage door is right in front of us. And then behind that, the image of complete and utter destruction. And the thing do we see so often in these fires? The only part of the house left standing, the chimney stack. Now, these fires have so far scorched some 55,000 acres across this area. This is the Thomas Fire, Ventura, about 60 miles north of Los Angeles. The fire's burning so fiercely, blown by fierce Santa Ana winds, which are those hot, warm winds. They're usually not as destructive in December because we've usually had some rain by now. Not the case this season, and that's why they're causing so much destruction. NASA has released some extraordinary images of the smoke from the fires blowing across Southern California now. And as I say, it's not just here in Ventura. In Sunland and Sylmar, which is north of Los Angeles, the fire there has scorched some 11,000 acres, 30 structures, including homes, destroyed there. Also, it has been a big problem for a lot of livestock that are there. We have seen some heartbreaking images of horses fleeing through the smoke-filled streets of that area. Some of those horses have been killed. The good news, no fatalities so far among residents in any of these fires. Heather?
Yeah, it seems like we were just reporting on all of this. And of course, our prayers to all those firefighters have to actually go out there and try to battle this and get it under control. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Be careful out there. Appreciate it. Well, a major blow to terrorist groups overseas. Let's move there now. The Pentagon says that 2 leaders were killed during raids on Monday, including al-Qaeda's highest-ranking leader to die in Afghanistan since 2001. Another 80 al-Qaeda members were killed and 27 captured in this operation. The U.S. also announcing that Mullah Shawali, the leader of the Taliban's Red Unit, was killed in an airstrike on Friday. And to another dangerous close call at one of America's busiest airports. A packed passenger plane cleared for landing on the same runway where another plane was about to take off. This happened at JFK Airport in New York City. A Volaris flight from Mexico was told to land on runway 13 left, but lined up on 13 right instead. Air traffic control guiding the plane around the airport before anything happened, thankfully. The FAA is, of course, investigating this, but this latest incident actually happens just 1 week after 2 planes clipped wings on the tarmac at JFK. We told you about that. And one of those planes had to be towed back to the gate. To the Department of Justice now, preparing to hand over FBI agent Peter Strzok's anti-President Trump text messages as new details are unfolding about his role in the Clinton email and Russia investigations. And Todd Pyra joins us now with more on these developments this morning. Good morning, Todd.
Good morning, Heather. House Intel Committee Chair Devin Nunes demanded those text messages between FBI counterintelligence agent Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, an FBI lawyer with whom Strzok was romantically involved. Both were part of Robert Mueller's Russia team, but are no longer. House investigators have long regarded Strzok as a key figure in the chain of events from 2016 when the FBI received that infamous anti-Trump dossier and launched a counterintelligence investigation into Russian meddling in the election. Strzok also oversaw the FBI's interviews with ousted National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who pleaded guilty Friday to lying to FBI investigators in the Russia probe. And it was Strzok who changed James Comey's draft language in the Hillary Clinton decision from grossly negligent, a phrase that carries possible criminal penalties, to extremely careless, a phrase with no real legal implications.
Peter Strzok's at the intersection of all of these players in all of these investigations. And it was so bad that Mueller fired him months ago, but has not cooperated with the House Intelligence Committee. They were not providing the documents. They were not going to make them, except for now that it's in the media, we're not going to make them available. Devin Nunes, Trey Gowdy have been trying to get at this for a long, long time.
Nunes has been assured those text messages will be turned over in the coming days. Also happening today before the House Intel Committee, more questioning of Donald Trump Jr., who's expected to be grilled on his family's financial dealings with Russia and that meeting he had with a Russian lawyer who promised information on Hillary Clinton during the 2016 campaign. Heather?
Yeah, and then on top of all this, we hear yesterday about this other Mueller deputy, this top prosecutor who sent a message praising someone who refused to follow what President Trump was trying to get done
to Sally
in terms
Yates
of the travel ban.
A lot of questions still unanswered throughout this entire investigation.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about that later. Thank you so much, Todd. Appreciate it. Good to have you here. Well, Democrats have been calling for President Trump's impeachment since day one.
I will fight every day until he is impeached.
ImpeachDonaldTrumpNow.com.
Well, new House Democrat Al Green is vowing to force a vote to impeach President Trump today. The Texas congressman is among a handful of liberals that have been agitating for our commander-in-chief's impeachment for months, but the effort expected to fail since Republicans control the House. And John Conyers finally bowing out following an avalanche of sexual harassment allegations, but the former congressman is calling it instead a retirement.
I am retiring, and I want everyone to know how much I appreciate the support, the incredible, undiminished support.
Well, the 88-year-old and longest-serving member of Congress, by the way, is accused of harassing female staffers and settling a lawsuit with taxpayer money. And Conyers went on to endorse his son to fill the seat, but it is up to the Democrats in the state to nominate their next candidate. And a fourth accuser came forward yesterday. Well, Congressman Conyers now calling on his son, as we said, to fill the seat that he has held for half a century. And Fox News contributor Katie Pavlich says that this is a perfect example of career politicians becoming so entrenched in Washington that they deepen the swamp.
I don't think the founding fathers ever intended for Congress or in the House or the Senate to be a career. Public service should have a meaning outside of coming to Washington, D.C. and turning what we call the swamp into more of a jacuzzi, getting comfortable. And if you look at the list that you just had up on the big board, there are a number of congressmen and women on that list who have been the subjects of ethics and violation investigations, including Maxine Waters, who has been there for a very long time. And so now that we see Representative Conyers resign, yes, he did some good things in his career, but the fact that he now wants his son to step in and continue his legacy really is quite rich since he's been there for so long.
Really is something. Well, Fox News alert for you. An ISIS plot to take out the British Prime Minister stopped just in time. We are live in London, where two terrorists are about to go before a judge. And some brand new evidence backing up the president's claims that the FBI is biased against him. So who can America trust to make sure that justice is served? Our next guest says the double standard is absurd. And defying death threats to pursue her passion, the woman hunter that will make it proud to be an American. Well, the plot thickens at the FBI as the DOJ prepares to hand over transcripts of the anti-President Trump text messages sent by FBI agent Peter Strzok. Republicans now questioning Strzok's role in some critical milestones during the Clinton and Russian investigations. But why aren't Democrats demanding answers from the FBI? Joining me now is senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, Hans von Spakovsky. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Heather.
So this is really unreal. Let's take a look just quickly at some of the revelations just involving Peter Strzok at this point. He oversaw and participated in questioning of General Michael Flynn in January. He led the Bureau's criminal investigation of Clinton as the deputy director of counterintelligence, and then changed Comey's draft language on Hillary, her private email server, from grossly negligent to extremely careless. And those are just some of the things that he's tied to at this point. So how can we trust the FBI when something like this is going on?
I don't know. This raises real questions about the objectivity and partisanship of the FBI. Because, look, here's a key thing. He was the FBI agent who interviewed Michael Flynn. It was his recounting of that the charges against Flynn were based on, of lying to an FBI agent. But remember, this is also the same FBI agent who interviewed Cheryl Mills and Huma Abedin, two of the chief aides to Hillary Clinton. They also lied to him about their knowledge of the home server, and yet they've never been charged with lying to an FBI agent. Why this double standard? That has been not explained by the FBI or the Justice Department.
Yeah, and this is what President Trump tweeted out about it. He said, anti-Trump FBI agent led Clinton email probe, as you just said. Now it all starts to make sense. Do you think that any of this would have been uncovered if President Trump had not, so continuously said, hey, something's not right here?
No, I don't think it would have been. And also, apparently, Bob Mueller has been stonewalling the House Intelligence Committee for months about this. The only reason they finally admitted it was because of an Inspector General investigation report. So that brings up a whole nother issue of why has Bob Mueller been covering this up?
Right, and the people that he's appointed to help him with the investigation into Russian collusion, the majority of them are Democratic donors, so it just continues. And then just yesterday we find out about this Andrew Weissman, who was one of the top, prosecutors for Mueller?
Yeah, he's the #2 guy, and he sent internal emails supporting Sally Yates when she was the holdover running the Justice Department, an Obama holdover, when she refused to defend Trump's travel order. She basically violated her professional duties, and yet Andrew Weissman is saying, oh, that was a great thing to do. That was completely wrong.
Yeah, so Hans, how do you fix it?
Well, I tell you, I have great doubts that it can be fixed. Look, here's another issue that nobody has raised. A prosecutor has an obligation under Supreme Court law to turn over any evidence bearing on the innocence of a defendant. The question is, did Bob Mueller let Mike Flynn's lawyers know that the chief witness against him, the FBI agent, had been removed from the case for bias? If he didn't do that, then Mueller was guilty of professional misconduct.
I'm betting the answer to that is no, but definitely somebody needs to look into that. And then Lisa Bloom, I think is her name, that was the other FBI agent that he was texting. So, and she was apparently working on the case as well.
Yeah, and she was his mistress, which says a whole lot of other things about the unprofessional conduct of agents at the FBI.
It is outrageous. Hans von Spakovsky, there you go. Thank you so much for joining us, Hans. Appreciate it. And apologize for that construction again, which continues there. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Well, the time now is about 20 minutes after the top of the hour, and a surprise appearance from Beyonce, all to honor anthem-kneeling quarterback Colin Kaepernick, her praise and his promise that has everyone talking this morning. And never-Trumper Jeff Flake turning his back on his own party to support the Democratic challenger to Roy Moore in the Alabama Senate race. Is he really choosing country over party, though? Carly Shimkus has the GOP reaction, and it's not pretty. Good morning. Welcome back to Fox & Friends First. Country over party. That message from Republican Senator Jeff Flake, who just donated $100 to Democratic Alabama Senate candidate Doug Jones. The move coming after President Trump formally